All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Michael Gaio, and I'm with Athletic Business. And we are excited to have you joining us for our webinar today, presented by Pentair. We thank them for making this possible. Today's webinar, How to Make the Pool the Center of Your Community. And we are joined today by Ken Sherbenou. He is the Executive Director of the Montrose Recreation District. And Ken has a great story to share on how their recreation district overcame some challenges. They opened a brand new facility in 2017, and it has become a thriving, popular hub in their community. Just to kind of attest to that before we dive in here, when the facility opened in 2017, it had just 616 annual pass holders. And now today, in just that short amount of time, they're up to over 8,200 annual pass holders. And this is in a community of about 20,000 people. So Ken has done some great things at his facility that he's going to share, and we're looking forward to that. And we are also joined by Mike Fowler. He is the commercial sales manager for Pentair, and Mike works on aquatics and pool projects all over the country, and he's going to share some trends that he's seeing and some tips to keep your pools running efficiently and smoothly and keep them running at all times, which is important. So moving on to our next slide here, we will hear from Ken as he'll talk about his community and the project that they've undergone to create the facility that they have today, and then some of the programming solutions that they've introduced that have really made the whole entire recreation facility a popular asset to the community. And then, as I mentioned, Mike Fowler will chime in with some ways to keep the pool running smoothly and reliably. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ken. Ken, again, is with the Executive Director of the Montrose Recreation District, and he's been there for 9 years. And Ken, we'll turn it over to you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. So this is Ken Sherbenou in Montrose, and really, first off, I want to thank Athletic Business for pulling together this webinar and Pentair for sponsoring it. It's really a great opportunity to showcase our beautiful side of the state in Western Colorado. We are a phenomenally located community that has just amazing outdoor assets surrounding us. We've got the Black Canyon in the National Park to the east of town. We've got the San Juan Mountains to the south of town. We really have amazing outdoor recreation amenities in our community. It's absolutely beautiful. And if you haven't been, please come visit us. We very much are a quality of life community. People choose to locate to Montrose. We have a high percentage of retirees because it is so beautiful and such a high quality of life. When I came to the rec district about 8 or 9 years ago, we did have all those great outdoor opportunities, but we were really lacking in the indoor recreation opportunities. There was really a dearth of indoor facilities. We just had an old pool that I'll talk a lot more about that really was not meeting the needs of the community. And the last key thing to really help people understand Montrose is this side of the state tends to be pretty fiscally conservative, pretty skeptical of tax increases in taxes, and skeptical of government. And I think we have a great story on how we responded to that in a really constructive way, and how those skeptics really made our plan as strong as possible.
Yes, I think that's, Ken, I think that's an important part of your story, is just how averse your community was to a new recreation facility. I mean, you were talking about a very small increase in taxes, a few cents, and even that was getting shut down. So it sounds like you had some, you had to explain some benefits to the community there to convince them of this project.
Yeah, and Michael, that's exactly right. And I think the slide that's on the screen right now speaks to this. Fellow Parks and Recreation professionals on the call will hopefully be familiar with John Crompton, and this is kind of, in my mind, what it comes down to in terms of public recreation. We provide personal benefits to those that participate in our programs and attend our facilities, and then there's also tremendous community benefits that come out of strong Parks and Recreation infrastructure, that even if people aren't using the facilities, that they benefit from the presence of those facilities. So we really responded to that tax-averse and skeptical climate by continually emphasizing the benefits, both to those that actually participate themselves, but then also to the benefits that come to a community that invests in itself. And there's a ton of them, reduce healthcare costs, reducing crime, economic driver. There's all sorts of economic impact studies that have been done. We actually did one for the rec center that forecast a $4.5 million annual economic impact for the recreation center, which was about 25% of the tax increase that we were asking for to make the facility possible. So anytime I'm counseling communities that want to follow our similar path, I always say, it's so important to continually emphasize the benefits, both personal and community.
And so this next slide, Ken, is one of my favorites, just because it shows how far you had to go to make this a reality. I mean, we're looking at 1998, 23% public support. So you really started from the bottom, and eventually we'll get to where you are now, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michael. And I like this slide too, because I'm the director. It's really into the history and understanding where we came from to where we're at now. It's 20 years of effort by many, many individuals, several directors, many community citizen leaders. First ballot was first vote was on the ballot in 1998, and that was to expand the current aquatic center. So when I came to Montrose, our only indoor facility was an indoor aquatic center built in 1986. And 1998, they tried to expand that and make that into a much more multi-purpose center with the gymnasium. But that failed resoundingly. Only 22% support for that tax proposal, that tax increase to build that improvement, that expansion. Then 2003, they tried again in 2003 and 2005. And those efforts were a lot more about just expanding to the current facility, adding on to the aquatic center and making it more multi-purpose. But there really were no improvements to aquatics between 1998 or 2003. 2006 is really where the eyes started opening up and really looking at making something that was going to meet the long-term needs of a growing community. And so 2006, they looked at a new site that was away from the existing aquatic center. I will note that in 2006, they did not include a new lap pool as part of that facility because they were going to operate both pools at the same time. That fell short. 2007, they went to the ballot again. They only got 36% support, and they were going back to the old idea of just adding on to the existing facility. I came to town in 2010. Our first effort that I was involved in was 2012. And that really took the model from 2006 and tried to build a new center at a new site and build the aquatic center into a field house, which is a big improvement. And that effort got 44% support. So we're almost there. And then we kept working at it. And then in 2013, 2014, we just continually revised the plan, made it stronger. We partnered more closely with the city of Montrose, which is a separate entity from the recreation district. We got a big GOCO grant, Great Outdoors Colorado, that built a water sports park and expanded our river trail. We saved a ton of money through a shared services agreement with the city of Montrose, where they provide services for us in exchange for reimbursement. We updated our financing plan. We established the Montrose Recreation Foundation that helped us go after grants. And that's something that resonates in a fiscally conservative community, for them to know that you're really doing everything in your power to leave no stone unturned to make this project happen. And thankfully, we had success in 2014.
And so, I mean, one of those plans that didn't even have a new aquatic facility, how important was that to you and, the community to make sure that was something that was included?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that the aquatics for public recreation is such an important element, and it's so often overlooked. I think it's easy for city council people, city managers, to look at a facility and say, gosh, it's expensive to build the pool. It's higher cost per square foot compared to dry space. It's more expensive to operate. You have higher utility costs. You got to staff it all the time with lifeguards. And so I've definitely seen communities stay away from putting in an aquatic component that's really going to drive the center and really be central to its long-term success. So I was very pleased, and it was so very important to include that robust aquatics element to make sure that our plan could earn approval. And a big part of that was our citizen leaders. I will say that during the efforts that I was involved in 2012 and then also again in 2013, 2014, the citizen leaders that were out touting for this and stumping for this, and particularly when we went to campaign mode, they were the ones that were speaking about the benefits and how this is an absolute need if we wanted to continue to progress as a community. Those folks were tied to aquatics. You know, a lot of that was that we had the Aquatic Center that had been in operation for 15, 20 years at that point. And we had some core users that really loved aquatics. We had swim team parents who really believed that we needed to have a competitive facility for our high school swim team, as well as our Marlins, which is our local youth swim team. And those people were so critical in this effort being successful. So yeah, I believe there's lots of really great reasons to make sure that Public Recreation Center has a robust aquatics element.
Yeah, and just to chime in here, guys, for all of our attendees out there getting a few questions about the slides, we will email these to you, and a recording of this presentation will be available afterwards. So we'll send that to you. And you know, obviously feel free to share that with your staff or use that however you'd like. So this will be available afterwards. I know we kind of cruised through that benefits slide pretty quickly. So this next slide kind of shows the development of the plan, the 2012 plan. Then Ken, you kind of touched on that. We'll go one more, and so you get the approval, and this is where you start working with, as you mentioned, just some great partners to make this facility a reality.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So one of the things that I get asked questions about, you know, one of the things that's so great about our field is that we're so willing to share best practices. I definitely leaned on other directors in other communities that had success before us. And so that's one of the beautiful things about our profession, is that we're so committed to helping each other and sharing best practices. This is one of the reasons why I'm part of this presentation, because I'm such a believer in that. So there are a lot of things that we learned from those other communities that helped us be successful. One of them was certainly going after grants and fundraising. I mentioned how important that was in a fiscally conservative community. So we did found that Montrose Recreation Foundation. That was one big difference between our 2012 and 2014 efforts. We also worked real closely with the lead architect, which is Barker Rinker Seacat Architecture, which I definitely recommend them. They're a great firm that specializes in community centers, and they had a whole giant team of architects and engineers that were working on the design of the facility. Water technology, they were the aquatics designers, and working with those experts at BRS and water technology was just so important in mapping out a plan that was going to be successful for the long term. Now, one of the questions I asked in interviews for architect engineer team was, you know, tell me about your projects that have long-term success in terms of high service and high cost recovery. And BRS definitely has the longest resume of projects that really had a lot of success. And they were so plugged into knowing the sorts of products to put in the natatorium specifically that are going to help maintain that water clarity and that functionality and that high level of quality that now that we're in operation, our community is really demanding, and really expectation has really increased with the success that we've had. I'll talk about Hayden Building Corp. They were our construction manager out of Phoenix, and they managed all the sub-consultants, and they were tremendous in making sure our project was on time and under budget. And then also Greenplay was another sub-consultant to BRS, and they're a Parks and Rec consulting firm that focuses on master plans and feasibility studies, and they are really our operational consultant that helped us map our plan out that has led to our success. Again, that growth in passes. It's pretty astounding, Michael, thinking about that we went from 600 passes when the facility opened to now over 8,000 annual passes, which is so great in terms of representing. We're delivering a lot of great service, and we're also doing well financially and having a high cost recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I think this is a good time to bring in Mike Fowler from Pentair. And Mike, Ken touched on water technology and their role. What's kind of the role that Pentair and these aquatic design firms play in the development of these projects, and especially the energy efficiency?
Well, and thank you, Michael. But it's a very valuable, actually an invaluable relationship that you have to have with these design firms. Water Technology being one of the largest in the nation, along with some other ones that are out there. Councilman Hunsecker's another one. There's Aquatic Design. There's several others that having that relationship with the designer, and when they're looking at a facility such as this and similar ones, looking to, with their knowledge and wanting to design not just a great facility for Montrose, for example, but something that's going to be efficient in an energy standpoint, run not just from an efficient standpoint to save energy costs, but allow them to, as we've obviously seen, what Ken has said, is the growth in membership there, which brings a lot of camaraderie for the community, which adds to those other features that have already been discussed. So dialing in the right products for a facility like this through the aquatic designers is a key in making these things as streamlined as possible, and making sure that the facility is going to get the best in equipment and other facilities there for hopefully the lifetime of the facility.
Yeah, and Mike, you Pentair has relationships with a lot of these people. Kind of, how is it from your standpoint? It must be exciting to go around and see some of these facilities as they're getting underway or looking to make improvements, and knowing that you guys can help them do that.
No, it actually is, and it's gratifying. It's the whole thing in the industry, and Ken mentioned this a lot a few minutes ago. It is the relationship. Whether it's a architectural design firm or a builder or a service company or a retail store that sells swimming pools in your local communities. Having the relationship with these people and them getting a trust in you and the products you're providing and the service you can provide is really something that can't be undermined, as the importance here as we all build this aquatics industry. And again, staying in the aspect of what we talked about, trying to supply the best efficient products, whether it's pumps or sanitizing or filtration, and bringing the best of the products we can to these designers, and that they have the trust in us to provide that quality product.
Absolutely. And to some folks out there who, this facility may look familiar, the Montrose Recreation Community Center has been in athletic business. It's been in our architectural showcase and our aquatic design portfolio. So about 80,000 square feet total within the facility, and a construction cost somewhere around 26 million. And one thing I just want to touch on quick, it's pretty cool. We've got on this slide, we've got Ken there in the newspaper celebrating the referendum getting passed. So
that's a very good night for me and the community, I believe.
Got to celebrate the good times, right? I mean, it's a fun industry. Right, yeah, absolutely. So looking ahead now to slide 10 here, Ken, with the Montrose Community Rec Center. Just kind of everything, the pool is obviously a huge portion of this, as we see in the bottom left. But you guys got a lot going on here.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I figured it might be a good opportunity to talk about all the different amenities that we have in the facility. I think one of the big reasons why we're seeing the success that we hopefully will for the next 47 years or so, is the diversity of offerings that we have. We're truly a multi-purpose recreation center, and it's such a difference from what we had. Again, when we just had the 6-lane aquatic center that was an old L-shaped pool, 25 yards by 25 meter, we only had 600 annual pass holders. And now it's increased a lot, given the fact that we offer so much more. So you go in the facility there, you have the lobby space. To your right there, you have admin in the pink area, and then above admin is Mountain Dew Therapy. And this is a partnership that I would have loved to have come through when the election was happening, but we didn't quite get there. But thankfully it did after the election, and they really came on board to be a very critical partner in the success of the recreation center. It really helps the community understand what a recreation center is. It's about health promotion, it's about health and wellness, and it's not just for fun and games. It's about serious health promotion. And so it's actually one of their 7 satellite sites, and it's by far their busiest, with Montrose Memorial Hospital here in town. And that therapy space, 2,000 square feet, they're by far the busiest. They're booked out several months in advance, and they just love having a foothold in the recreation center. It gives them such a great opportunity for the therapists to really help people recover from major issues, heart attacks, strokes, knee replacements, hip replacements, and they get to come and hopefully reinvent themselves and adopt a healthy lifestyle and hopefully transition into becoming members themselves after they're released from therapy. So I can't say enough about how great that partnership has been, how successful it's been. I really believe that, fitness component used to be the big argument about whether or not public rec centers should have fitness. Well, now you wouldn't really even dream of building a recreation center without fitness, because then your subsidy would just be so high that there would be a lot more taxes needed to support your operation, your facility. I think therapy is really what therapy is now what fitness was 20 years ago. It really is something that when we look back in 10 or 15 years of development of recreation centers, most recreation centers are going to have therapy space. One key thing that the therapy provider wanted to see was a therapy pool. So I'll jump to the therapy pool area. It's kind of that bullet-shaped area that's in the natatorium. And so that is our hot water wellness pool. And the hospital uses that for therapy every day of the week. So they'll have patients that will do their therapy in the wellness pool. And having that access was again, a very key ingredient in making that partnership happen. So it'd be hard to have the dedicated therapy space without that wellness pool.
Yeah, so that's a great asset. And you've mentioned from the therapy and some of the other programs you have going on there with the the high school and the youth and some of that. So how do you go that keeps the place busy and occupied? And you said this therapy center is very busy. How did you set up those partnerships? And how important was it to have the right facilities to be able to do that?
Well, I plainly stated, we wouldn't be able to have the partnerships that we have without the facility that we built, the 80,000 square foot facility. If we want to jump into the lap pool, it's a 11 lane by 9 lane. It's 25 yard by 25 meter, and it is the site of the high school boys and girls teams. Montrose is a smaller town, so the school does not have their own aquatic facilities, and so that's one of the reasons why they're such a critical partner in providing what we do every day. So we have the lap pool that has a site for our high school teams and our youth swim team, the Marlins. But in addition to those exercise and lap swimming purposes and swim meets, we also really worked to make sure that lap pool was going to be multi-purpose. That was a theme that we really carried through the entire facility to make sure that it was as busy as possible from when we open at 5:30 to when we close at 9 o'clock at night. And key to that was making sure that lap pool was going to be multi-purpose, that it was not only going to be for lap swimming, that it was also going to be for recreation. So we did put in a drop slide, a 3-meter diving board, 2 1-meter diving boards, a slack line, and a whivet. And I have future plans to add in a rope swing as well. And again, it's all about making it as multifunction as possible, and that really helps. It helps the argument that you really need to include robust aquatics, because it really does drive your cost recovery and make sure that your organization, your facility is financially viable for the long term.
So I'd like to pull in Mike Fowler here. Mike, Pentair is really a full service provider. Sometimes we think about the pumps and some of the hidden components, but Ken talking about, the high school swim team, Pentair can also help people with deck equipment and that kind of thing. Isn't that right?
No, it is. We've actually been a manufacturer of the Paragon KDI. Some people might know it as KDI Paragon, but the Paragon deck equipment, we purchased them back in 1997. They became part of our family. So we can provide basically just about anything in regards to the deck, whether it's lifeguard chairs, and we actually worked with Tom Griffiths, who some of you may have heard of, in regards to a safety aspect of a lifeguard chair. So through our vision chairs, or whether it's lifeguard chairs or starting platforms, we can do customized starting platforms for competition pools as well, which helps with different aspects, whether it's a school or a city or things like that, and as well as customized ladders and railings as well. So we can provide anything that would be needed on the deck, as well as handicap lifts now that are a lot of times required in certain elements as well. So we do more than just what's in the filter room with pumps and filters and heaters and et cetera. So we can help out in any way we can with stuff on the deck.
Great. So we'll just back up here a little bit and just kind of touch on some of these statistics here with your facility here, Ken. Facility opened in January 2017, and this is kind of what I touched on at the beginning. 8,216 annual pass holders. That's 41% of the Montrose population. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible there.
Yeah, that's why we're all so tired.
Yeah, you know, some of these cities, if you get 41% of the population as a member, they'd be just, you know, you couldn't build them big enough. But
it really has been such an amazing blessing to see the extent that the facility has been embraced. You know, especially even from people that did not support it. I almost every day have someone tell me that they voted against it, but they love it. You know, and it just goes to show you that in communities that don't have a facility like this, people are just not used to the impact that it can have. But once you have it, and then once they understand that there's something for every age and every interest and every age, that really does help you keep the facility busy year round, just offering a diversity of amenities. A couple of the things that I didn't touch on, we do have the 3-court gymnasium, which is, I think, really important to include in a multi-purpose facility. Allows us to play pickleball, which helps that gym stay busy during the day. 3 volleyball courts, 3 basketball courts. We have an indoor playground, a couple of party rooms, child watch area. The right-hand side is the upper level. That's kind of our fitness center. So we have circuit training. We've got free weights. We've got an aerobic studio. We've got a walking track that is flat around the fitness area. That is a hill course around the gym. It actually aligns to use the stairs on the north and south sides of the buildings to make a stair course. So we have many different ways for people to walk and jog and stay active. And again, having the strong pool along with the strong dry side, it really does create a great synergy that will hopefully keep people engaged for the long haul.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to mention too about facility expansion. So one of the things that we also did in terms of from a design standpoint, beyond focusing on really making everything multi-purpose, we also really tried to make sure that we had planned for future additions. So we know that Montrose is going to continue to grow, hopefully not too quickly, but we really need to keep pace with that. So we have all sorts of opportunities to add an additional square footage on the building. We have the ability to add to the north the gym and add a full-size 4th court. We have the ability to add in more fitness upstairs. And we also have the ability to add in an outdoor pool. So that's another reason why it's good to be in the good graces of Mike Fowler and Pentair, because we're certainly going to be using more of their products in the future, most likely. And the outdoor pool is a half acre that is off the natatorium plan south of what's showing on the screen. And we'll be able to do major additional amenities to make sure the facility stays very exciting and new. And we've planned for that. So that'll be exciting to see the center continue to evolve.
And that was good planning by Barker Rinker CCAT to plan for that. I'm sure they built that into the design. Now we are getting a question from Kelsey here. Ken, are you getting a lot of pass holders and visits from surrounding towns like Ridgeway and Olathe that don't have their facility? People from, I'm not from Colorado, so is it Ouray?
Ouray, yeah.
And so, that has hot springs there, it sounds like. So are you seeing people from the surrounding areas coming in?
We are, yeah. We're very much a regional hub. That's another reason to make no little plans and build a facility that's going to be significant and going to be meaningful and exciting for not just your population, but also the surrounding areas. Another big reason why the recreation center is an economic driver, because it really does bring in people from outside of the town to use the facility. We're also a retail hub, so we have a lot of shops in Montrose that are not available in Ouray and Ridgeway and Gunnison, or even Grand Junction to the north, which is a community that's about 3 times the size of us. And we really are becoming much more of a hub. And a big reason is because of the recreation center. We have people coming in, for weekend vacations. Well, they'll come and stay in Montrose, drive an hour, stay in town, get all their shopping done, use the rec center, stay in the hotels, eat at our restaurants. So yeah, absolutely. We're definitely seeing a big draw from people outside of the community.
So a big part of that draw then is the aquatic programs that you have. And so we've got that slide up on the screen now. As far as the classes, the clubs, if you would just want to speak to the success you've had there, I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got very talented staff. I'm very thankful to have a wonderful aquatics coordinator and aquatics leader and the whole rest of the team that helps us run a very, very efficient, very effective operation. When it comes to aquatics programs specifically, again, we just try to offer something for every age and most every interest. And so we have water aerobics classes that are actually included in membership. That's another thing that I really would recommend to communities is to include water aerobics classes as well as group fitness classes in memberships. It really drives your membership, and it really does retain those people because you build more of a sense of the community when you have classes that are included in membership and not an extra $3 or $4 to attend. So we do include a lot in our membership, including 13 aqua aerobics classes a week and over 40 group fitness classes a week, all included in membership. There are some other programs that are run out of the recreation center that are extra, like swim lessons, and you don't have to have a membership or pay the admission to partake in swim lessons. So now we have, in 2018, we had over 2,000 participants in swim lessons in our little town. Offering all sorts of new classes, one new fitness class, fitness / cardio or / aerobics. Aqua aerobics is a stand-up paddleboard. We just invested in stand-up paddleboards. So we're going to be doing a class that is included in admission, and that's just getting underway this summer, which is really exciting. We also offer lots of other programs that promote health and wellness, first aid classes, diet clinics. We also have drop-in use is really a big reason why people have memberships, so they can come lap swimming, come play with their families in the leisure pool, come hang out in the wellness pool and relax. We talked a lot about the clubs that we offer that are really key user groups that really help people utilize their recreation center.
Is there, Ken, is there one program that you're particularly proud of, or maybe that you'd encourage other recreation or people to install in their own programs?
I'm really proud of our offerings with aqua aerobics. We've seen just huge increases in the size of those classes, and thank goodness we built a pool that could handle huge classes. We have great instructors with our aqua aerobics classes that keep them exciting. We offer everything from twinges and the hinges, which is a more arthritis focused class, all the way to a class that's very rigorous called the deep that happens in the lap pool. And again, this is critical why it's so important to have different bodies of water, your hot wellness pool, your warm leisure pool, and your cool water lap pool, because you can offer such a much greater diversity of classes with aqua aerobics and serve just a lot more people.
And so this is a great time to bring in Mike Fowler, because all these programs, if the pool is down or offline, they're not happening. So, I mean, it's crucial. And, how does Pentair make sure that these things, the uptime is there, and what people can expect from your products?
Well, basically, and this is really interesting what Ken was talking about, because we've really been seeing that a lot in the industry, and especially even at Pentair, the emphasis on health and wellness, and has been going on for a little while now, but it's really taking shape. And what's great to see in Ken's facility is the vast array, as he was talking about. It's just not the total different types of activities that can take place in those bodies of water is tremendous. And what we're trying to do as an equipment provider is just continue to provide the best quality that we can, and also ensure that in talking to some of these designers, talking to some of the builders and the end users, to make sure things happen. So you may want to have a backup motor in place, or you may want to have something to back it up, but just to make sure that we're providing the service and have our service network nationwide, that if something should happen or something needs to be addressed, it's addressed immediately, because we know how important that is in a facility like this. And other commercial facilities, they can't have downtime, because downtime means loss of revenue and loss of memberships, which can happen in this industry. So we try to do the best we can on that service side to provide that to all of our customers.
Absolutely. And
Mike, we do need backup pumps, by the way. I'll just throw that in there.
Okay.
My maintenance specialist about that last week, and yeah, that is something we want to do.
Yeah. Okay.
all right, boom, business happening right there. So Mike, you know, as you go around and you see, you know, customers, at least at Athletic Business, you know, the facilities that we're seeing are becoming more, you know, wellness oriented. They're larger, sometimes a little bit more expensive in scope. You know, does that kind of jive with what you're seeing? I know you're out there talking to people, and also, you know, Pentair can also service, you know, facilities of any size, I would assume.
Yeah, we actually can do that. You know, we manufacture products from the smallest, you know, smallest hotel pools that you see to the largest resorts and facilities like this, or like, you know, big resorts in Las Vegas or the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas, and a lot of municipality type pools and city things just like this that Ken's been talking about. But it's interesting in regards to that wellness aspect again. Living here in Sanford, where our main plant is in North Carolina, we're not a big town either. I think we just hit 50,000 people a couple of years ago. But the growth in here has led to things changing. Our small little Nautilus that was built 40-something years ago was bought out by a YMCA. They completely renovated the whole entire pool, which has added to extra programs, bringing more people into the aquatics part of it for wellness and other things. As well as First Health of the Carolinas is a big health thing here. They just recently built a brand new wellness center about 3 miles from the office that has a large swimming pool, large spa, other things as well. And that's really the key here. Looking at a recent report there's a research group out there that studies the aquatics industry. And back at the end of 2017, they indicated that just looking at municipality things such as this that Ken's had, and also adding in some YMCA type of bodies of water, there was 9.5 billion gallons of treatable water in pools that are out there nationwide. And those are just from the people that they answered the survey questions. So it's definitely out there. It's definitely still popular. And what we're trying to do, like I said, as an equipment provider, just provide the best that we can to help support this industry with efficient products, with energy saving products. Like I said, whether it's pumps, filters, heaters, lighting, sanitizing. You know, one of the key things that in this industry too is for especially indoor facilities is chloramines.
Yeah.
And trying to get rid of those chloramines to provide a better environment for the swimmers. That's a key thing, and one of the key things that are happening right now in our industry.
Ken, we have a question here from Annie, and Annie is wondering, what is the base for the floor and sides of the pool? Is it tile, or is it, you know, what's that material that's in the pool there that we're showing on the screen?
So our old aquatic center was plaster, and that was one of the many things that needed to be replaced. We were seeing concrete all over the place, our old aquatic center. So that was another reason to replace that pool and renovate it into another facility and build this new recreation center that has really high quality finishes like tile. So we do have tile throughout our pools, and it definitely helps the patron experience. You know, we're a public recreation center, and we're very accessible. I mean, it's $425 for a youth to come, $525 for a senior, and $625 for an adult. So we're very affordable, very accessible, very much in line with public recreation. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't provide a really beautiful facility that is really nice. And we're really seeing that pay off and pay in dividends in terms of people really loving the place and really taking that ownership of it and really feeling like it's their home away from home. And some of those touches, like having tile in the pools, help us achieve that.
Okay, so 100% tile.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good. Just we were asking for clarification. That's getting some exclamation points here from the chat. So impressive.
And another thing, Michael, if I could jump back to slide 11.
Yes, sir.
Talk about so I think one of the things, looking at the attendee list, looked like there was a lot of aquatics coordinators, a lot of folks that are focused on aquatics delivery. And I think where we were with our aquatic center being built in 1986 and really grappling with issues. So if you look at slide 11, On the left-hand side, that's our picture of the Aquatic Center before the renovation. And as you can see, it's your classic L-shaped pool, which is very commonly built in the 1980s. And that was the site for swim meets and all our aqua aerobics classes. Those is where those 600 pass holders utilized the facility. And we were really grappling with what to do with the facility. It was a metal building. We had some structural issues, mechanical issues. The sand filter, for example, was original, and it was very much in need of replacement. And so we were really grappling with, well, do we want to spend $800,000 to $1 million to completely renovate the mechanical systems? Because certainly operating two pools at two different sites, we just don't have the budget to do that. And so this idea actually came out of the citizens group, and again with their aquatics focus, they interestingly enough really proposed us to convert to an indoor turf field. So you can see the end result of that, and that's been a wonderful, wonderful repurpose. We're not quite there yet, but our goal is to operate that facility in the black. And I know that a lot of communities, I think it seems like there's a natural evolution where you start out with the indoor pool and then you build that clientele, but then it's old and needs to be replaced, refurbished, and your community's grown. Another that jumps in my mind is Grand Junction. They're in a similar situation where they're an hour away from Montrose to the north of us, and they have an old pool at Orchard Mesa that was built in 1982. And so I think that's a real common thing that communities grapple with. So I want to just put that out there that our repurpose has worked out extremely well.
And one thing I think is interesting, Ken, I just saw an article, an op-ed that you wrote for one of the other cities in your region. You've kind of become an advocate and doing things like this webinar, which you were so kind enough to join us for, to become an advocate to help other communities get these facilities, because you've seen firsthand the benefits that not only the Aquatic Center, but the whole facility has on a community of any size, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that's my responsibility as a Parks and Rec professional, really, to really make sure that communities, not only the one that I work for, are forward thinking and understand the power of Parks and Recreation and really help, where I can. And a lot of that is paying it forward, because again, there's other directors that I've worked closely with, like in Fruita or Fraser Valley here in Colorado as well, that I leaned on heavily during our process. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to pay it forward.
One question we have, and folks, we're getting close to wrapping up here, so feel free to chime in with questions. We do have a couple more slides to get through, but Brenda asks, she says it doesn't look like from the photos that we're showing that you have a lot of deck and spectator space. So how are you, are you able to host USA swim meets or different events like that, and how does that work out?
Yeah, Brenda, that's a great question. That's something that we really grappled with during design development. We are able to hold very large swim meets. We'll pull in teams from Denver and from Salt Lake City on either side of us. But every time we hold a swim meet, it's always a big complaint in terms of the lack of deck space. And, we could have designed the building to accommodate those 6 to 8 swim meets per year that are that large, that do require the additional space, or we could save space with deck and put more water space in there, which is the decision that we decided to do. So those are tough decisions that you have to make, but when you're trying to stay on budget, I'm always a bigger believer in programmable space and making sure to invest your money there, compared to space that's not that multi-purpose like a larger deck. With that said, we do have a 3-court gymnasium that's easily accessible from the pool area, and for some of those larger swim meets, we have opened up that area for teams to set up. And we also have the outdoor area where the future outdoor pool will go, and a lot of that outdoor patio space will stay. And we have a lot of teams that will set up over there as well. And then it's also just communicating to parents too to please respect, when your kid's not swimming, please don't be on the pool deck. So you handle it from an operational standpoint. But that's a great question, because that's definitely one that you have to grapple with during design development.
And one thing too is we have some photos here in the presentation, but if folks want to go to athleticbusiness.com, and if you search in the keyword Montrose, we have a couple photo galleries of the facility, and that's a good way to maybe get a better feel. You know, there are more photos of this. Again, athleticbusiness.com, and then keyword Montrose, and you can check it out, as this has been in our architectural showcase and our aquatic design portfolio. Just wrapping up through the slides, we will get to some questions here. Just want to bring Mike Fowler in one more time, and just kind of the entire role that the right equipment can play in keeping these programs, and you know, kind of pools get a bad rep as an energy hog, but really they're vital component. And so, Mike, would you just please kind of talk about how Pentair makes all this possible?
Yeah, it is something that's really that's gone on in the industry in the last really 10 years or so. There's really been a huge push with rises in energy costs, et cetera, to develop equipment, and not just across Pentair, but other, you know, the other manufacturers that are out there as well, to provide the best in efficiencies. So you look at everything, and you look at the main cost of running a facility like this from the pool aspect of it is in the equipment room. So providing the best in quality as far as efficiencies in your pumps. A lot of the motors now that are involved in some of these things have higher efficiency motors with them. Variable frequency drives have become a very big player as well, to be able to fine tune where a pump needs to be. You know, example, there might be a need for a 20 horsepower pump is put into the job, but really they only need 18 horsepower but nobody makes an 18 horsepower pump. So these VFDs have allowed to dial those pumps exactly into what they need to be. So that actually just streamlines the whole thing, ties in better for better filtration rates. But there's been several things, not just in VFDs and pumps, but the filtration's changed a lot over the years. Ken mentioned earlier the old filter he had on the old facility. And I live in an HOA right now that we've got a 40-year-old filter in our pool. And things have changed as far as the design and the way things are filtered. Media plays a big part in that as well. Filter media inside, some of it's a little bit more efficient than it used to be. And lighting's a big aspect of it. When you look at the lighting aspects with LED and how important that is, and when you look at the cost factors of LED, might cost a little bit more up front, but the loan savings and running those lights down the road is going to more than pay your money back going forward. And that's the same way as VFDs work. The efficiencies we mentioned earlier about chloramines in the room, in the air. How many of you on the call have gone to a hotel or gone to a facility where as soon as you walk in, you know they have a pool because you smell it? Well, certain things in the trend of the industry now with ultraviolet light and ozone systems and things like that really have taken that into play and are not only clearing that out and providing better water quality, but again, a better experience for the people that are using these facilities. Better health, better this, you know, and it's a lot of different situations. So what we're doing here at Pentair is also trying to continue that process of providing not just a one-stop shop where we can provide a lot of almost everything that Ken's got in his facility as a manufacturer, but trying to look at ourselves and test and research and going towards the future to continually try to provide the best in efficiencies that we can, whether it's a small facility or something like what Ken's got in Montrose.
Great. Thanks, Mike. So folks, we're going to get to some questions. We got a bunch of questions in the chat. Ken and Mike, if you guys don't mind sticking around to answer some questions here.
Sure.
And while we're doing that, I'm going to see here if I can.
And Michael, if I could chime in, we're talking questions.
Yes.
I do need to revise the statement that I made earlier. I had to phone a friend. I talked with my aquatics coordinator and Liz Grayson and our maintenance specialist, Miguel Lopez. And we are not all tile. We're just tile with the lane, with the top, and also the lane markers, and the rest is plaster. So just a slight correction, and you know, just further evidence that directors need to lean on their team, and that's really what makes the whole ball of wax go.
Okay, yeah, that's good to clarify. We had some questions about that, and so that's good to clarify. A quick question here. How many guards do you have in each body of water when you're open? This is from Vicky. Vicky wondering about the lifeguard situation.
You know, I'm going to have to lean on my aquatics coordinator for that one as well. I'd be happy to follow up. I know that we have one guard in the lap pool and typically two guards in the leisure pool, kind of for our slowest times. And then during our busier times, we definitely ramp that up significantly. We did work real constructively with water technology during the design process. Our aquatics leader and coordinator were both very involved at studying site angles to make sure that every part of the pool would be visible from multiple locations to really reduce the number of lifeguards that we would need. But I'd say at the minimum, we're at 3 guards is typically what we start out at 5:30 in the morning.
Okay. All right, we'll just keep cruising through these. Feel free to chime in the chat box if you're still on the line here. We've got a chat box in the bottom right-hand corner. Just trying to catch up with all of these. So Meredith was wondering if your individual membership is $425, do you sell a family membership for a different cost?
I'm sorry, the individual membership is not $425. I was saying $4.25 for a youth day pass. So that's 17 and under. So that's a good clarification to make sure that people understand that the annual membership is not $425. We advertise our rates on a monthly basis, and this is another innovation I believe that I would really recommend other communities do. A lot of times you look at the annual price and people get sticker shock. And if you think about it, there's very few services that just charge you for the entire year at once, and they list that in their pricing. Monthly pricing is much more common. So we really went in the direction of a monthly membership rate. So for youth, we're at $18 per month for an annual pass, and that gives unlimited access to the recreation center year-round. For an adult, we're looking at $32 per month. For a senior, we're at $18 a month. And for a family pass, we're at $57 per month. So that includes any 4 people in the same household. I'll also say, too, that Silver Sneakers is a huge partner. We have over 2,000 Silver Sneakers members that basically constitutes a senior pass. Looking at utilization rates, we get about the same amount of money from a Silver Sneaker member that we do a senior pass holder. So again, we really need to bring in revenue to make sure our organization stays financially strong, and so we can do things like save for that outdoor pool. But that's one of the beautiful things about public recreation is increased revenues paid for by patrons go right back into the services that you're providing, and they do allow you to improve. And with that said, we do focus very much on accessibility, and we do have scholarships available for people with financial need on free or reduced lunch or Medicaid and the like. So our policy is basically not to turn anyone away. Okay.
That's good to know. Yeah, difference between $400 and $25, that's for sure. I'm just going to keep cruising through these. Let's see. We talked a lot about things that have been successful. Andrew was wondering about maybe some programs that you may have tried over the course of your career that have not been successful.
I think in line with recreation trends, we're definitely seeing struggling numbers with things like tennis. It's been largely replaced by pickleball. That's one of the reasons why I really advocate for centers to have 3 gyms if at all possible. So you can always have one available for drop-in, even when you have youth basketball or adult basketball or volleyball games going on. Certainly, we've seen decreases in things like our inline skating programs that were really big in the late 90s, early 2000s, and those have definitely since dropped off. I think there's lots of resources. Our state association called our Parks and Rec Association. They provide a lot of information, a lot of meaningful sessions at our conferences that talk about recreational trends. There's always sessions on recreational trends. And for me, I really found that that's the best way to stay current. And for our programmers, too, I have to, again, give a shout out to our team that is so innovative and so plugged into what people most want to do. And we're constantly doing surveys and evaluation of programs, and we're looking at participation numbers. And so that's one of the ways that we offer we know that we're offering the services that people are going to take advantage of, and that's best evidenced by the participation numbers.
All right, Mike, question for you. How does someone go about upgrading their equipment? Is that something that can be done on existing pools if they are in need of something?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Any pool, and renovation is a big market in the commercial aquatics industry. So yeah, anything can be changed, and I would recommend just if you have a local pool dealer or pool contractor you've worked with or know someone in the area, or we have a network of guys we could recommend depending upon where they're at. We can feel free to email me and we can give them some suggestions to that. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys will go in. They might be in there to look at the filter, let's say, but they're smart. They look around to see other opportunities where you might be able to. Maybe your pump is an old cast iron pump that's starting to rust, and there's much more energy efficiency factors there that you can look at. Or again, I mentioned VFDs earlier. You get a pump that's running all the time. Your facility might not be open 24 hours a day. So you might be able to dial that pump down a little bit, at certain times by just adding a VFD, and that could be done to an existing pump. So there's many opportunities you can do after the fact.
And have the product efficiencies and capabilities changed a lot over the last few years? I mean, I know some of these things, can have a huge impact on the bottom line.
Oh, no, definitely. Most definitely. And I'll give you a quick example is heaters. And we manufacture a heater. We've been manufacturing heaters for years, and those efficiencies on those heaters are usually 82 to 84, 85% range. And we launched the heater a couple of years ago that's 96% efficient. So what that means is that, obviously your heating times are a lot faster. You're not using as much gas. So that's just going to go back to the bottom line in your dollars. We had an example where an old heater, as this was actually in Canada, had a 1.2 million gallon heater, or billion BTU heater, that was old, took it out, put in a 400,000 high efficiency heater that we make, and that smaller heater is handling the whole heat requirements of that pool. So, but again, it just goes back to the savings factor of it as well. So.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Ken, couple more for you before we go. I know we're kind of right at our time limit. Everyone's busy, but Meredith has a couple quick questions. What are the hours of your pool? And then what software are you using to check people in when they enter the facility?
Yeah, good question. So our hours of operation are now 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday we're 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And Sunday we were at 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and now we just pushed that back 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. One of the things that for example, Greenplay, our operational consultant, really helped us understand is that it's always better to start out with what you can handle rather than being too aggressive with things like operating hours, because you certainly, once you start opening up at 5 or start staying open till 10, you're going to have some strong users that are passionate about making sure that they stay open. So it's always easier to add on hours later. So I definitely, for example, anticipate us opening earlier on Sunday in the future. The other question about software management, so we made the move to RecTrack, and we did that about a year before the recreation center was done. That was part of our team's preparation for opening the facility. Since class was going out, we were with class previously, class was expiring, and we looked at ActiveNet, we looked at RecTrack, and we decided to go with RecTrack, and that was so critical to make that move prior to the recreation center opening, so we could get everything taken care of from billing, from our credit card and ACH billing all set up prior to the explosion in memberships. So when communities are looking at building big facilities like this, that's a key thing that they need to be able to do to make sure you're ready to operate it and operate it successfully, and make sure that your front desk staff retain their sanity.
That's important. Yeah, software is a crucial part, and yeah, that's an important part of the equation. One more from Sarah here asks about the monthly fee covers all the classes that you have going on in the facility, or are there some things that are extra?
Yeah, so when we give our tours, and we're still getting tours on a regular basis with people that are new to the community or just haven't been in the facility yet, and that's one of our lines that we always say, everything is included here. The only additions are personal training, child watch, although that's $5 a visit, which is pretty dang cheap childcare, and then also party rooms for birthday parties. Those are the three extra things. Everything else is included, from the flat pool, the leisure pool, to the wellness pool, to the three-court gym, to the climbing wall, the racquetball courts, the game area, the indoor playgrounds, the family cabanas, the locker rooms, the walking track, fitness, fit zone, and all the classes that happen in fit zone and aqua aerobics are all included in membership.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So we're kind of coming up on our deadline here. I know a lot of people are still with us, which is great. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. As I mentioned earlier, the slides will be sent out to everybody. And, thanks to Mike Fowler at Pentair. Pentair sponsored this and makes it possible for us to bring it to you guys. And thanks to Ken for sharing the insights that he has, a great facility there in Montrose. And thanks to everybody for being part of the athletic business community. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. And hopefully this has been beneficial. And we look forward to continuing to provide you with information and content that hopefully makes your lives a little bit easier in this great industry that we're part of. So thank you, everybody, for everything. Mike and Ken, if there's anything you want to add, now would be a great time, and we'll close this thing down.
Yeah, I'll just add in, to reiterate that, I really appreciate everyone's engagement and great questions. I love our profession. It's great to always hear good questions and engagement on the services that we provide that are so critical to our communities. So definitely wish everybody the best of luck in running your own facilities, and please come visit us in Montrose anytime. We'd love to give you a tour.
Yeah, I'd like to say, too, I'd like to thank Michael and the staff of Athletic Business, as well as Ken, for his time and effort on this presentation, and all those that are attending. I know it's a very busy time for everyone right now, and we're happy to be a part of it. We're happy that we could help to bring this attention, not just only to the success that Ken has, but there's a lot of Ken stories, I'm sure, across the country, and we're happy to be a support of this. And obviously the aquatics industry is near and dear to our heart as a manufacturer, and hopefully we'll be able to help spread that and continue to spread that as the years go by. So again, thank you for everyone's time today, and appreciate being part of it.
Thanks, guys. And one last thing, you can read more about the Montrose Community Recreation Center on athleticbusiness.com. We have a new article up, talks a lot about the things we mentioned in the webinar. It's titled How One Colorado Recreation District Brought the Outdoors In. And that'll show up again if you go to athleticbusiness.com and plug in the keyword Montrose. It'll be the third result there, and you can read and see some photos of this facility. And it's just a kind of a good refresher on what we talked about today. And so we appreciate Ken giving us his insights there as well. So Mike and Ken, and to all the people still on the line here, thank you very much. Our pleasure to bring this to you, and keep an eye out for those slides as we'll get those out this week.